What's up, guys? It's me again. So I'm gonna keep this story short and sweet. If it gets too long, I apologize, but that's how it's gonna be. So today marks episode 6 of my MTA New York City Subway Storytime series with me, AaronTheEagle1. So this is the evaluation for the July 2nd, 2017 expedition. The June 25th, 2017 expedition was episode 5. That episode I was lucky. That time I was lucky because nobody confronted me. This time, unfortunately, I did get confronted, but not because, it's going to be a lot easier to explain later. I'm not going to explain it right now. So, like I said, this marks episode 6 of the series. I hope you guys enjoy it. So without further ado, let's get started. So it all starts when I get on my designated train to go to New York Penn Station. When I say designated, I mean the local train, my town, it's a railroad. I jump on that train, the commuter train. I go all the way to New York Penn Station. After that happens, I decide to get a burrito because I'm starving. When I'm railfanning, I don't like to get really hungry because the extreme hunger causes headaches. It causes me to feel like I've been depleted of all energy. Yeah, I'm just a mess when that happens. So, as I'm walking to Taco Bell at Penn Station, New York Penn Station, supposedly there's a homeless guy out there outside the restaurant. He asks me to give him some money to eat. He asked me to give him some money so he could buy something to eat. I don't know what I was saying earlier. A little bit of a brain fart, I guess. But he asked me to give him some money so he could get something to eat. I just walked by him as if I didn't even hear a thing. But in reality, I actually did hear a thing. And then when I was on the line, a lady asked me if I wanted to go in front of her in line. I said no, thank you, because of course she was there first. I wasn't. She thought I was in a hurry. She's like, "Oh, you can go in front of me if you want." And I mean, that's a really nice gesture, but I told her, "No, thank you. You were ahead of me. You get to go order first." And I was like, "Thank you for the offer, but this is your spot. You shouldn't have to give it up to me. You were here first, fair and square." So I just stood there on my phone until I was called up next. I told the lady that I wanted by lady, I mean the one at the cash register. I told her I wanted an XXL grilled stuffed burrito, the steak version, sorry. And I wanted 3 chocolate chip cookies. Since it was a KFC, Taco Bell fusion, there were a bunch of food courts at Penn Station. So they had to fuse together KFC and Taco Bell. About 5 minutes, she gives me my receipt, and I wait 5 minutes for my food to arrive. And when she calls my number, she's like, 112. I walk up to the register, I get my burrito, and before I leave, now let me remind you people, anybody out there that's new to New York, whenever you order fast food, remember to check the bag. And I'm glad I checked the bag. This is what I did. To make sure they're not trying to cheat you or anything like that, always check the bag. Or always make sure they don't shortchange you. Or both, if that does happen to you. God forbid that may happen to you, but always check to make sure nobody shortchanges you or overchanges you, or make sure nobody puts in anything in your bag that you don't want, or they're missing something that you want. So I checked the bag. The only thing I see in there was my burrito, not my 3 chocolate chip cookies that I paid $2 for. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was mumbling underneath my breath because I was pissed off. I walked back to the register. I'm like, "Excuse me, I didn't get my 3 chocolate chip cookies. What's up with that?" And I show her my receipt stating that it had an order for chocolate chip cookies. And then she went back to get the chocolate chip cookies. She called her coworker, and then she said, "Oh, it's coming, sir." And I was like, "Okay, fine. That's good then. At least I'm getting my cookies." So I stand back at the in front of the register. The coworker lady comes back with my 3 chocolate chip cookies. I take the bag. I'm like, "Thank you," and I walk out of the store. And the same man who asked me for money earlier was standing there. He asked the same question, and I still walked by him as if he didn't say anything to me. And I still remember the exact same words he said to me. And I feel really bad. I feel awful for walking past him. But what can you do? Because the problem is, there's a lot of bums in New York City. They like to cheat people out of their money. It's really hard to recognize who desperately needs money and who's trying to deceive you. And this guy looked like he had some shorts on, some good shorts, a blue t-shirt, and some nice sneakers, but I should have helped him out. Like I said, I feel bad for doing that. I should have done something. Something would have been better than nothing. So, with all that behind me, I walk all the way to the 8th Avenue platforms because I want to get to Canal Street. So I walk all the way to the Express Island platform. The 2 side platforms are for the northbound local tracks, but the 1 island platform is for the express tracks. Though there are only 3 stations on the New York City Subway system that have two side platforms and 1 island platform, in which the island platform gives you access to northbound and southbound trains through using a direct transfer. No crossovers, no cross unders, none of that crap. The only 3 stations are Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center on the Eastern Parkway line, 2, 3, 4, 5. 34th Street Penn Station, 8th Avenue. 34th Street Penn Station, 7th Avenue. So I had to wait like 10 minutes for an A train to come. But on the other side, the local platforms, there were C and E trains coming, not C trains. There were E trains coming non-stop. So within 10 minutes, an R160 arrives on the express track. I'm like, the hell is the R160 doing on an express track? Then I see it's a C train. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. C trains arriving from 168th Street, Euclid-bound C trains were running express from 59th Street Columbus Circle to Canal Street. And I was like, okay, good. That's going to shave off some time. So I get on the C Express train. I'll fast forward all the way to, let's say around Chambers Street. Pretty much I was standing. Nothing really happened. I was just standing and stuff. It was a good ride. And right when we reached World Trade Center, Chambers Street, it's actually Chambers Street for A and C, and then World Trade Center for the E. But once I reached Chambers Street, I saw 2 guys walk on the train. They were looking to go to 42nd Street, which was 42nd Street Port Authority bus terminal. But instead they got on this C train that I was on, which was headed for Brooklyn. I was like, uh-oh, these guys are on the wrong train. And of course I didn't want to tell them because it'd be fun to watch them be like, oh no, what? I should have told them, but I usually answer questions when somebody walks up to me and asks me. I usually don't approach people. But next time, if somebody's lost, I will offer them help. It's the least I can do since I know most of the stations on the New York City Subway. So the least I could have done was help those guys out, but I didn't. We reached Fulton Street. I get off the C train. The guys realized that they were on the wrong train. They went southbound instead of northbound. So they realized they have to take the the C or the A train to go back to 42nd Street Port Authority bus terminal. I get off the C train. The C train departs the station. I walk all the way to the Jamaica-bound Jamaica line. I don't know why I said Jamaica-bound. The Queens-bound platform of the Jamaica line. The J and the Z. But since it was a weekend, there was no Z trains running, only J's. So I had to wait about 10 minutes because of delays at Broad Street. It took a long time for the J train, to depart Broad Street and then arrive at Fulton Street. So once I got on, it eventually arrived. I got on, I sat down, and I was really reluctant on leaning back because the seats were really disgusting since those cars are really old. But they still run really good. I just don't like sitting down on the train. Standing up, I don't mind. And then as the train departs the station, some guy with a muscle shirt, singlet, and he has his muscles poking out. He looks at it right where this Asian couple sitting, this old guy and this old woman. Right where they were sitting, he holds on to the pole and he looks at the map. And they're backing up as if they thought that he was going to hurt them. But the guy was like, no, I'm not going to hurt you. He didn't say anything. He was just like, meaning he wasn't going to hurt them. And it was kind of funny. I don't know why, but I still found it funny. We arrived at Chambers Street, which is the most rundown station on the entire Jamaica line. Bowery is second most rundown, but Chambers Street, oh my goodness, that's an ancient station that's in desperate need for repairs. So this family walks in. This 17-year-old girl, I believe, that's how old she was, I'm assuming. There was this kid. There were two kids. One was a little girl and one was a little boy not wearing a t-shirt. I don't know why. Then the parents walk in. And then, I don't know, the kid just sits next to me and stuff. Right as we reach Canal Street, the kid next to me, he says, "Cash me outside, how about that?" And judging by that exact quote, you know it's from that girl, Danielle Bregoli. Yes, the "Cash me outside" girl. Oh, man, I do not like that girl, not one bit. But it is what it is. Like I said, I get really annoyed when I hear that quote because it's just a girl who thinks she's I don't know, she's a punk ass. She's trying to be tough, but in reality, she's nothing. She became famous through insulting the crowd at that Dr. Phil show, Dr. Phil episode, sorry. And I don't know, she just, like I said, I just don't like that girl. Just the vibes she gives me. Like I said, I don't like that girl, not one bit. She's really, really, really annoying. I will be doing a rant video on her soon though, but I'm not going to do it now because I'm telling the story. So once we arrive at Canal Street, after the boy says, "Cash me outside, how about that?" I'm like, okay, that's enough. I better get off this train or else he's going to be driving me crazy with this Danielle Bregoli BS. Doors open. I walk out really fast from the train. I walk all the way to the Lexington Avenue platforms. First, I have to pass the southbound via bridge track, which is the lowest level of the entire Canal Street station. That's where the N and the Q trains take the Manhattan Bridge to travel to and from Brooklyn. So I walk all the way to the downtown platforms for the stairwell to the downtown platforms of the Lexington Avenue line, where I have to wait for an R62A 4 train to take me to Brooklyn. So I walk there, I walk to the seat, I eat my burrito, it was good. And right as the train was arriving, some guy walks up to me, he's like, "Excuse me, is this downtown or uptown?" And I told him, "It's downtown." And he's like, "Okay, thank you." And then this is what happened. The first 4 train that arrived, it was an R62A. I could have gotten on, but I decided not to. I don't know why, but actually no, I do know why. There was a guy sitting near the Railfanning window. I don't want him to give me funny looks and be like, "Hey, why are you filming?" Because he looks, I don't know, I can tell. He looks like one of those guys that you can tell doesn't like it when you film trains, that thinks it's illegal. So I decided to wait for the next R62A. So the first R62A 4 train leaves. Then the next R62A that arrives is the 6 train. That departs. The next 4 train that arrives is an R142. So I was like, no, that's not what I want. 6 train arrives, R62A. Then the next 4 train arrives is an R62A. So I was like, okay, that's my train. I get on. Because I want to film the 4 train travel through the Joralemon Street Tunnel, because I'm pretty sure R62As travel really fast when in subway tunnels. And I just had to record it. I just had to. There's no question. Okay, so pretty much after all that happened, I get on the train. Of course, I film from the windows because I don't want the guys to be looking at me all weird. And this entire weekend, 4 trains were running in 2 sections. The first section ran between Woodlawn and 125th Street. Second section ran between 125th Street and New Lots Avenue. And 5 trains, since 4 trains were occupying most of the tracks at 125th, 5 trains were running between 86th Street and Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn College. Which means 5 trains did not run between 86th Street and East 180th Street, and then East 180th Street to East Chester Dyer Avenue. Which was a bummer for most 5 train people who need the 5 train. So that means they would have to take either the 4 train, to access the White Plains Road line from Lexington Avenue, they'd have to take the 4 train to 149th Street. Well, this is how it would have to happen. They would have to take the 6 or the 4 train to 125th. Since the 4 train runs in 2 sections, You'd have to get off that 4 train, transfer to another 4 train. Yeah, it's a hassle. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is a big hassle. That same 6 train, you get off at 125th. A 4 train that arrives from Woodlawn, you take that to go to 149th. You get off, take the 2 to go to East 180th. Then free shuttle bus service will take you to Dyer Avenue. Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, so once the R62 arrives in, I film the train bypassing Worth Street and then switching to the express track so it could go to Brooklyn. And let me tell you something, the ride from Bowling Green to Borough Hall, it was a pretty speedy ride. Because, like I said, I couldn't hold the camera too close to the railfan window or else the train operator would be making a big deal over it, so I decided not to. I held it a little bit far. Overall, yeah, it was a pretty good ride. Fast forward a little bit, we reach into Atlantic Avenue on the local tracks since 4 and 5 trains could run in Brooklyn and 2 and 3 trains could not. So I get off the 4 train, I get to film, take a picture of the sign a little bit. I walk all the way to the Brighton platform so I could do a little bit of, I said 5 almost, R179 hunting. So I take an R160B Alstom Q train to go to Coney Island. And they had nice LED lights in there, which means that Coney Island has now retrofitted most of the R160Bs with nice LED lighting. And it looked pretty cool. I was like, okay, I'm down with that. I get on the train. It was really crowded. I don't know why. It's probably because the beaches were all nice, so people wanted to take the Q train. So I still get on the Q train, and I kept looking outside the window, seeing if the R179 was out there right after we departed Prospect Park. Fast forward all the way to Kings Highway. I get off at Kings Highway thinking that the R179 is, I don't know, hiding. When I say hiding, I mean it's probably in the yard, obviously. I had to pace around. I was like, oh my goodness, where's that R179? And I felt myself getting crazier because it's like I was talking to myself, being like, what am I going to do if I don't get a picture of the R179 testing? Sorry, my shoulder was a little sore. Anyways, 10 minutes later, R179 comes in, and there's a kid, of course, standing at the railfan window. I assume he was looking for the R179 too. So I knock on the window, and I ask the train operator, hey, do you know if the R179 is in service today? And he said no. And there was one of 2 options he could have said no to. Well, the first option was he probably was not sure if the R179 was out or not. Or number 2, he was certain that the R179 was not testing today. When I say today, I mean July 2nd. So I was like, okay, fine. I'm just getting on the train. And the kid who was standing at the railfan window, he asks me, is the R179 out today? And I was like, nah, dude, I'm sorry. And he's like, he was sad too, and he was pissed off, just like I was. I took that same Q train all the way to Sheepshead Bay. I got off at Sheepshead Bay. I was a little bit optimistic. Hopefully I would find it. Eventually, I couldn't find it. I decided to take the next Q train to go to Coney Island so I could do a little bit of filming from Avenue U or Neck Road to Prospect Park, since it'll switch to the express track, since 96th Street bound Q trains were running express from Kings Highway to Prospect Park. So the next Q train that arrived, I took that one, but first I want to mention one thing. When I was sitting down, this huge group of kids came, and I was like, okay, fine, I don't want to be with these kids. I just got up, started walking away, and then as I was playing on my phone, I saw one of the kids. He tosses his plastic water bottle, and it narrowly misses the 3rd rail on the southbound express track. I was like, dude, what the hell were you thinking? If that bottle established contact with the 3rd rail, not the white part, the steel part, then that would have been it. It would have caused a huge track fire. And I know it probably wouldn't affect Q train service since Q trains were running on the local tracks. But still, what the hell's wrong with you for you to throw a bottle onto the tracks? The kid looked like he was at least 13 or 14 years old. You have to have some common sense before you can do something stupid as that. You're not only going to endanger yourself, you're going to endanger others, because third rail explosions are huge. I mean, they're huge. Those could cause a lot of fires. And that kid was standing, this was the seat. The seat was here. He threw the bottle backwards. You know they have trash cans, right? Look for a trash can. Throw the bottle in the garbage can. Don't throw it on the tracks. The tracks are not your personal trash can. Come on, kid. Learn how not to litter first before you do something as stupid as that. Maybe your parents probably didn't teach you common sense. It's common. Don't throw litter onto the tracks. It's dumb. And that stuff really pisses me off. So 10 minutes, well 5 minutes later actually, because I was grumbling because this kid did something so stupid. 5 minutes later, train arrives. Take the Q train to Coney Island because I kind of like the view of how the Q train arrives into Coney Island. And the Ferris wheels, the roller coasters, the beach. Man, I love the beach. We arrive at Coney Island. I get off because I had to go all the way to the front. And since there were no Q trains on track 3, we arrived on track 4. And there was the last Q train that departed Coney Island was well ahead of us. The Q train departed at least 1 minute after arrival. So I immediately moved fast all the way to the 5th car. And the doors close. I get inside. And I was like, I was a sad, sad man because I could not find that train, the R179. I guess I have to wait until it's in service. So I take that train around West 8th Street. I thought I was contemplating whether I should ask the conductor if the R179 was out. Maybe he had an idea. I could tell it was a he because I saw his face at West 8th Street. Excuse me. I'm not going to tell you. There's like a specific part. Actually, no, screw it. I'm going to tell you. Right when we depart West 8th Street, I decided to sit down because there was enough room. And at Ocean Parkway, a woman gets on with her children. Children sit down. There was one spot that the mother almost sat at. And then the kid was like, Mommy, sit here. And then the mother was like, no, it's okay. And then right at Brighton Beach, a woman sits down and, the woman gets up and that woman, the mother, sat down. And it was like, oh, okay, it's a happy ending for everybody. So fast forwarding all the way to Neck Road, that's where I got off. I decided to ask the conductor, excuse me, do you know if the R179s are in service today? Are testing today on this line? And he was like, nah, they were testing yesterday though, but they are not testing today. You can wait until they're in service in September. You're taking pictures, dude? And I was like, yeah. Okay, well, good luck with that. I hope you get the R179 picture as soon as possible and a video too. I was like, man, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to let me know that the R179 is not testing. And he was like, no problem. And as the train was departing, I thanked him once again because he was so informative, even more informative than that idiot train operator. He should, what? You have a mouth, right? Use it. Say, I'm not sure. Or just say, no, I'm confirming that there is no R179 testing today. At least, yeah, some people though, at least this conductor, he was really friendly too. I was like, man, that guy's so friendly. He looks like the type of guy you'd want to be friends with. By far, there's no, hands down, obviously. So I'm pacing back and forth, waiting for the next Q train to arrive because Q train service is a little slow. Q train arrives, I get on, and around Kings Highway, another Railfanning gets on. And then I realize, this guy looks familiar. He didn't look familiar though. I actually found him on Facebook after I got home. And I was like, hey, aren't you that same kid that I saw on the Q train on my way to Prospect Park? And he was like, yes. And then he was like, so that was you? And I was like, yeah, that was me. But unfortunately for him, he only got the window shot. I got the Railfan, and then I got the window shot. The Railfan window, then the regular window. And we had to stop at Kings Highway. We were stalled there for at least 3 minutes. Then at Newkirk Plaza because of a sick passenger at Prospect Park. However, we weren't stalled at Church Avenue because there was only one stop between Church Avenue, Prospect Park. That was Parkside Avenue. So once we got to Prospect Park, I got off so I could I got off at Prospect Park so I could take the Franklin Avenue shuttle to go to Franklin Avenue, so I could take the 4 train to go to New Lots. And once we arrive at Prospect Park, the shuttle was actually, I was like, wait, where's the shuttle? 3 minutes later it arrives. We were stuck there for at least 7 minutes, and some guy had his foot in the door so the doors would stay open. Like, come on, dude, it's the last stop. First of all, it's the last stop on the train. Doors will be open for at least 10 minutes before the train departs. And second of all, if you miss this train, so what? It's not a big deal. Take the next train. It's common sense. But some people will just never learn. Anyways, after the time is up, we finally depart. We reach Franklin Avenue, and I got to see some interesting portions between Franklin Avenue and Prospect Park. I forget what it was called. I remember a train got wrecked there one time, but I forget exactly what it was called, unfortunately. And if all you people out there be like, oh, why you forget? I'm sorry, I'm new to certain stations, so I've forgotten over time. I reached Franklin Avenue. Here, let me turn on the fan. It's getting kind of hot in here. Anyways, I know you people would be like, yo, why is that kid wearing a sweatshirt and he's complaining that it's hot? Well, this sweatshirt looks kind of cool. That's why I'm wearing it. Okay, so we reach Franklin Avenue. I walk all the way to the IRT Eastern Parkway platform so I can take the 4 train. First train that arrives in is an R142-5 train bound for Flatbush Avenue. And then the next train arrives, R62A 4 train to go to New Lots. I get on that 4 train and I film from a little distance so the train operator wouldn't see me. Fast forward a little bit, actually no, around Kingston Avenue, he noticed that I was filming, but he didn't say anything, so I had to move to distraction mode. I had to film my shoe, pretend I was filming that instead of him. Or, I wasn't really filming him, I was filming the tracks that the train was taking to go to New Lots. However, once we reached Crown Heights Utica Avenue, since that was an express station, the guy decided, he knocked on the window, well, the door, and he opened the door. He's like, hey, are you filming me? And I'm like, no, I'm not, I'm filming the tracks. And he's like, oh, okay, because I'm seeing your face and the camera, and it's getting distracting. I mean, yeah, I get what the guy's saying. At least he wasn't an asshole about it, and I really appreciate that. But, yeah, like I said, I understand, and I wasn't mad at him that he told me to stop filming. There's a reason why, so yeah, certain people, they get distracted. Certain people don't get distracted. Maybe he shouldn't have been looking at me, but like I said, I get what he was saying. He was a really tall dude, too. His head was all the way up to the ceiling. I was like, looking at him like that. Like, damn, dude. He must have played basketball when he was in middle school. I mean, middle school, high school, too, and college. But, yeah, like I said, I understand what he was saying. So I decided to end the video. Change of plans. I decided to railfan at Saratoga instead of going all the way to New Lots Avenue, because that, number one, that would take too much time. Number two, Saratoga Avenue has a really nice curve on the northern end of the station all the way to Sutter Avenue, Rutland Road. So I decided to stay there. Film the R62As and R142 4 trains arriving into the station and departing the station. I filmed that for at least 10 minutes. After I was done, I went all the way to the northbound platforms and I began eating an apple. It was a really sour, green Granny Smith apple. And then when I noticed a strong banana smell in my bag. And once I opened up the bag, this was actually before I started eating the apple, I opened up the bag. I saw that my banana was smushed entirely by my binder that contained my Subway Railfanning list. So I was like, uh-oh, I can't eat this now. I tried eating the banana, but it tasted so horrible when the banana was smushed. So I was like, screw it, I threw it away. And I don't like wasting food, but that banana was rendered inedible, so I couldn't eat it. So after that happened, I began eating my apple. Next 4 train that arrived was an R62A bound for 125th Street. So originally the bullet was green, and the light inside the train was off. Once we arrived underground though, the conductor decided to switch the green bullet into a red diamond bullet, the green circle bullet to a red diamond bullet. And it was like, okay, that's a little weird. Since this is a local train, why does it have a red diamond bullet? And I was like, okay, I'm down with that. And that same thing happened right when he turned on the subway car lights, the conductor. And I knew it was a he because I heard his voices. Fast forward all the way to Atlantic Avenue. Actually, no. In between, when I was at, where was I? Franklin Avenue. When I was at Grand Army Plaza, I tried taking a picture of the red diamond bullet and the 4 train thing, but I didn't. I was unable to. However, I was able to get 2 good pictures when I was at Atlantic Avenue while the 4 trains departing the station. Why are you asking if why I left the 4 train? Well, that's because I had to take a 5 train to go to 86th Street to do a little railfanning. So I walk all the way to the front of the platform. Within 2 minutes, 86th Street bound 5 train comes. I take that same 5 train, the 86th, and when I was traveling through the Joralemon Street Tunnel between Borough Hall and Bowling Green, it was a lot slower than the R62A 4 train ride to Brooklyn. From Brooklyn, it wasn't that great. Usually the train rides are a lot faster. Depends on the operator you have. Chances are, if you have an operator that's, I don't know, you know what, I'm not even going to talk about that. Operation was slow, that's all I'm going to say. We arrived at Bowling Green, skipped all the way to Brooklyn Bridge City Hall. 4 train must have switched to the local track. 5 train though continued on the express. We bypassed the same 4 train at, no wait, there was 3 trains. All 3 of them are 62As. 2 of them were 6 trains, 1 of them was a 4 train. The 4 train I was on earlier in order to get the 5 train. So the 5 train traveled straight, since 5 trains were running express from 86th Street to Brooklyn Bridge City Hall. 5 trains were running express, 4 trains were not in Manhattan. 4 and 6 was running local, 5 was making express stops in Manhattan, which was good. So, as we departed Brooklyn Bridge City Hall, we passed another 6 train that arrived from the City Hall loop, and then right at 14th Street Union Square, we caught up to that same 4 train with the red diamonds on it. So I was like, wow, that's actually pretty fast, I'm not gonna lie. And then as the doors opened, people immediately squeezed their asses onto that train. And right when I was filming, on the northbound side, well, no, not northbound, the southbound side, on the left side, some guy asks me, hey, can I sit here? And I was like, sure, why not? I mean, I don't know why you have to ask me. I mean, it's nice that you asked me, but you didn't have to. It's your seat. I wasn't sitting there anyway. So he sat down. I went back to the railfan window. People were still squeezing onto the train. Like, come on. There's another 5 train. You don't have to take this exact 5 train. Take the next one. I understand you want to be together, but don't, when the doors are closing, don't squeeze the doors open when the doors are closing. That's just ridiculous. You're only going to hold up the traffic even more that's following this train. Finally, as the 4 train was departing the station, 5 train doors closed. We departed out of the station slightly slowly, and then we move a little bit faster. Around 28th Street, we catch up to the 4 train that we caught up to at 14th Street Union Square. We bypassed that train when it stopped at 28th Street. Then once we were at Grand Central, I could see an R62A 6 train from the distance. So I was like, wow, we're about to pass our 3rd train. First one was the one at Brooklyn Bridge City Hall. Next one was at 28th Street. Now it's at Grand Central. Then after Grand Central, we stopped at 59th Street, then 59th to 86th. And I had to wait at least 5 or 10 minutes for that 5 train to relay all the way to depart the station, then relay, then arrive on the southbound express track. And throughout the entire time, one subway operator was like, trains are upstairs. And I was like, yeah, I got it. And I kept looking at him, knowing that I wasn't telling him, pretty much with my eyes, I was telling him, I'm not going anywhere until this train leaves. And there was another railfan there too. He was like, I can't believe this train should have left here by now. And then another subway employee, MTA employee, walks up to me. He's like, brother, trains are upstairs. I was like, I know trains are upstairs. I want to film this first. And then so he just walked away. He was walking back and forth. Finally, the 5 train departs the station. Stops at the end of the platform near where the track switches are. The taillights turn into headlights, and then they return back onto the express. They return back onto the southbound express track, and then pretty much, yeah, that's what happened. And then another 5 trains arriving, so my shot gets ruined. I leave because I don't want to waste any more time, but the other rail fan decided to stay, so I was like, okay, stay. So I decided to go all the way upstairs. 6 train arrives. I step onto the train. Once we leave 116th Street, we arrive into 125th slowly, more slow than usual. I don't know why I'm messing up so many words. The horn blares a few times, and then I see that the train's switching tracks from the northbound local to northbound express. Then upstairs, I see that the northbound local track has this pink tape covering it, which means trains were not stopping on that particular track. And as the train was departing, I actually wanted to see a 6 train depart from the northbound express track. Then I saw it departed really fast, since it was going to 3rd Avenue, 138th Street, which means that the 2 tracks going uphill, those are for 3rd Avenue, 138th, and the 1 track that the 4 and 5 trains usually switch tracks to get to that track, it's 1 track to 138th Street Grand Concourse that 4 and 5 trains have to share. So I was like, wow, that's actually a lot faster than I imagined. And then right before I got off, conductor was like, if you want 4 train service, you have to go downstairs. I went downstairs. The southbound express track was used by 4 trains that were traveling between 125th Street and Woodlawn. That's why 5 trains were traveling between 86th Street and Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn College, because they needed a station that was close enough to 125th to terminate 5 trains. So yeah, once I go downstairs, it seems as if the 4 trains traveling from 125th Street to New Lots Avenue and the downtown 6 trains were using the southbound local track, while the southbound express track was used by trains going back to Woodlawn. And we traveled slightly more slow than usual. And that's probably because we're switching to the correct Lexington Avenue tunnel track. And then once we reach 138th Street Grand Concourse, we travel extremely slow. That's because the local track has work trains, has the MOW train on it. So I was like, oh great, I wonder how long this is going to take. So after that happened, yeah, we finally arrived at 149th. I walked really fast to the White Plains Road platform, the southbound track, because I had to take a 2 train to go to South Ferry. Actually, no, to Chambers Street, so I could film South Ferry. So at around 6:13, yeah, I remember the exact same time, 6:13 p.m., one not in service R62 rolls in. How do I know that? On the other IRT countdown clock, I see that it said, the train to arrive is not in service. Please stand away from the platform edge. Then I see an R62 3 train comes in, has a high frequency horn, which sounds pretty cool, and that departs the station. Then my friend calls me. He's like, hey Aaron, you gotta do this 30-day ab workout plan. I was like, Joe, not right now, please. And I was actually pissed off at him. I don't know why, because I was more focused on filming trains rather than talking to him, because I felt that what he was saying wasn't important. Because as I was talking to him, I saw the sign that said, next train to arrive is not in service. So I was like, oh shoot, I better get this one too. So I immediately hung up my phone with him, and I filmed the next R62 train bypassing the station. The horn was regular, so I got high frequency and regular frequency. The first train arrived at 6:13 p.m. Next train arrived at 6:15 p.m. It was pretty cool watching 2 trains go together at the same time. My hypothesis is that they were probably going to the 239th Street yard. That was because they had to get a wash, since they have no access to the Livonia yard because of the Clark Street Tunnel construction, and Lenox Yard does not wash trains. So 239th Street Yard is a reasonable place to go. Within 5 minutes, a 2 train arrives. I get on. It's slightly crowded, and it's programmed with the South Ferry announcement, which is good. Not all 2 trains were programmed with the South Ferry announcement, which was kind of a bummer. I get on that 2 train. I realize it's so crowded because I've been standing up the entire time. I finally reach 135th Street. I get off because I'm like, oh, this feels like a cattle car. It's a nightmare. So I get off there. As the 2 trains departing the station, conductor spits out the window, almost lands on my shoe, but instead it lands on the platform. So I was like, thank God. And while I was at 135th, I was like, why can't people just get off here? Either get off here or get off at 148th. 145th is just 5 car. The first 5 cars can open their cars. Open the doors only. What's the point? I was actually contemplating that. 2 minutes later, another South Ferry bound 2 train arrives. I get on that. The announcements are messed up. I don't know why. It's probably because the original 5 train cars sets are programmed with the announcements, but the 2 train original sets are not. So I take that train all the way to Chambers because that's where I wanted to get off to film the video from Chambers to Chambers to South Ferry. So I decided to stay on at Chambers, and let me tell you something. I was holding my pee from what time did I start? From 10 o'clock in the morning, and it was around 7 o'clock in the evening. For almost what time was it exactly? For over 9 hours, I was holding my pee while railfanning. It was very uncomfortable. Yeah, so I contemplated peeing on the platform, but I was like, nah, I'm not going to vandalize subway property. That's just wrong. Besides, there's an MTA employee that's going to see me peeing all over the platform, so I'm not going to do it. Within 5 minutes, another 2 train arrives in, and much to my surprise, it was the car 6301, the first ever R142 car number. I was like, wow, this is memory lane right here. I take the 2 train all the way to South Ferry, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, welcome to South Ferry. This is what I've been waiting for the longest time. I get off the train. I film at that train station for at least 5 or 10 minutes. And then I see that same kid that was looking for the R179 earlier. He was like, I saw him. I was like, oh, hey, it's you again. Did you find the R179? And he was like, nah. And then I was like, oh, that's a bummer, man. Sorry about that. And I just left him. And I continued filming a little bit. And right when a 1 train was arriving, a subway operator was walking out of the office. He was like, sorry, because he was in my shot. And I was like, all right, it's fine, man. Don't worry about it. And then he was like, so you like trains, huh? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, but just don't use the flash when the trains are arriving to the station or when you're inside, because it's distracting. And I was like, yeah, I understand. You didn't have to tell me, but I'm glad. At least you were friendly enough. You were a friendly guy. So I like you, man. No, not that kind of like, obviously, but he seems like a really friendly guy. So I was like, okay, yeah, I understand. Excuse me. So the next 1 train that arrived in, he got on that 1 train to take it to Van Cortlandt Park. Around 5 or 10 minutes later, I keep saying that, 2 minutes later, a 2 train arrives in. In the car 6614, yes, I remember the exact same car number, there was a bum sleeping on the entire seat. Trash bags were all around him. It was so disgusting. Honestly, I do not want to be inside that car. So I was like, I'm going to wait for the next 2 train. I don't want to be on the same train, let alone the same car, the same train as that one guy. So I wait for the next 2 train to arrive. I get on that 2 train, and as I'm filming, the train operator gives me a mean stare. He's like, yeah, I don't know, he's looking at me kind of funny. So I was like, okay, fine, what's your problem? So I film around the car a little bit, even though he's staring, because I don't really care about him. I film the train departing the station. I stay on that 2 train until Chambers Street. I stop filming there, and then I still stay on that 2 train until 34th Street Penn Station. And once I arrived at Penn Station, it was 8:02, and my train departed at 8:07, so I had to run all the way from 34th Street Penn Station, 7th Avenue platforms, all the way. I had to run to the tracks. And then it said last call for the 8:07 to, wherever my destination was. And then I saw track 4, I said, blank me. You already knew what I was gonna say, so I'm not gonna say it. Track 4, and that's really far from the 7th Avenue platforms at 34th Street Penn Station. So I just ran. I ran as if I was running from the cops. I ran as if I was running a marathon. I just ran as fast as I could. Even though there's so many people, I just ran. And I had a limited amount of energy, but I used it all for a good cause. I finally got to my train. I sat down. I complained to all my subway buddies about my discomfiture. Not discomfiture, my discomfort, because I've been holding my pee in for so long. For almost 10 hours, I went without peeing. I held it in my bladder for 10 hours. That's uncomfortable. And then the guy was like, oh yeah, there was a bathroom at South Ferry. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, there was a bathroom at South Ferry, the new station near the R&W train platforms. I was like, oh man, I've got to get out more. Why can't all subway stations have bathrooms? He's like, or maybe you can just look around a little bit. So I was like, yeah, understandable. So pretty much after that happened, I was like, screw it. I decided to use the bathrooms on the train. First car was blocked off, nobody in there at all. That had a restroom, so I had to walk back 3 cars just to use the bathroom. And that bathroom was smelling so bad. Peeing in there was so uncomfortable because of that really bad smell in there. After I was done, I walked back all the way to my seat. I sit down, I relax. When I reached one station, I called my dad to come pick me up. I arrive at the station. Another train is headed towards New York. So I was like, yeah, looks like the gates are going to be down for a little while longer. And then as my train departed, I see headlights in the distance. So I was like, another train's coming? But didn't this train leave though? But still, the other train was coming. And as I got into my dad's car, my dad drove us out of the station. Dad was like, why are the gates down? And I was like, oh, probably because there was another train coming behind. And Dad's like, but that doesn't make any sense. A train in New York just left just now. And then as my dad was backing up in order to make a K-turn all the way to he was actually trying to make a U-turn in order to get to the other side of the road, another train actually comes. It was one locomotive and one of the main cars of the NJ Transit's commuter push-pull train. It was a Comet. It was a Comet push-pull commuter train car. One of the newer cars. Lights were off inside completely. So it was 2 cars. One locomotive and one Comet push-pull commuter train car. My dad was like, nonsense, because he was upset that for that small train, they closed the gates. So I was like, alright, fine. It was just a train. Who cares? And that's it for the story. Yay! The entire story's over. 48 minutes and counting. Jeez, man. I've got to work on condensing my stories a little bit more. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll make more new Subway Storytime videos soon. Next time I go to the city. Anyways, people, that's it for watching. Thank you so much. And remember to enjoy your summer. But before I end this video, I just want to let you know that the Subway Storytime thing is not going to go away. Because I really enjoyed telling you guys the stories. And I look forward to making more stories. Telling you guys more stories of my trips to the city. So, without further ado, guys, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and please enjoy your summer. Take care, guys.